I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football as we break down all the goals scored in the Premier League using my over 20 plus, almost 25 years coaching experience now all over the world. I'll give you different insight, actual football knowledge of what's really going on. And Nottingham Forest, just please make the Champions League for me. Please to do it. I wanted Nottingham Forest or Bournemouth to do it, but it looks like Bournemouth have just fallen away lately. And I so want that, Forest to be there. We've got a couple of things to point out as well before we get into the goals. I want to show you this little spin turn here and then this shot, okay? Because it's just a great little delivery, and then he pulls the trigger. Makes the keeper make a save. You've got to take it's one of those things. You have to take shots to score goals. And this is a good shot. I'm going to show you why as well. I'm going to reverse the angle and show you what I spotted. So first off, you can see from here. Let me get rid of this camera onto the other side over here out of the way. Right. So you can see, first off, look at the size of that gap and the size of that gap there at the back. I mean, first of all, that is poor defending. That is way too much space in any league in the world. But this ball is played between 1-2 players perfectly. And then it's this first touch here. Watch this. As this gets played in, fist in, 1-2, boom. See that? Cuts it between his legs brilliantly. Right. Absolutely great first touch, taking it into the space. Can you see how not that space there? Look, he took a step the wrong way, and how much space there is now. Unfortunately, the shot's not as good as it should be. If it is, he beats the keeper because you can see how far the keeper is out off the line. But this is what I like. As soon as he's taken that touch, watch his head. Do you see he looked up? Boom, looked up to pull the trigger. That's the key part here. That's what quality players can do. Take a touch, little flick, and then he pulls the trigger because he notices, well, if he executes this shot right, he's got himself a goal because the keeper's too far off. And look at the space, Spurs are giving him there. Really, really well done. That's kind of why one of the reasons I like Nottingham Forest as well is they understand it's about playing football and scoring goals. It's not about having millions and millions of passes in possession to do absolutely nothing. It's about getting the ball, having a touch, keeper's off his line. Let's have a whack and see if we can score off goal. Brilliant. Oh no, now we've got to defend. Let's go do that. Really, really good in my opinion. Good football. You can tell the Nottingham Forest coaching staff have been watching my videos because look, they've got not one but two players covering the D right there, because this is where the ball ends up, and if you don't cover the D, all sorts of mistakes happen, okay? And you don't want those nasty mistakes happening. Right, so let's also talk, jokes aside, let's look at where the Spursy are. How many players they've got that aren't doing anything, okay? You're not really marking him, so what you really have to do is split the difference right at the top of the D. That's where you need to be, so you can react to to this bouncing ball much faster, and he doesn't. Another person here on the front post, not really doing anything. Person here on the back post, not really doing anything. You've got a couple of Spursy players that are fighting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. The majority of their team really aren't marking at all. So when this comes across, look, you can see, look, there's the little you haven't cleared it. And that's why I get frustrated, right? If you're not on that front post, is there a better clearance from the second person? Yeah, probably, because you haven't done a good enough job there. Look, I'm right there. That's what I'm talking about. This is your responsibility now. This is where the ball's coming. Can you get it? Can you? Nope. No, completely and utterly wrong-footed, because your starting position, and it sounds silly, is 2 yards over here instead of being here. And yeah, I think it does take a little bit of deflection, but don't care. If you're where I want you, you're reading where that deflection comes, and you're sitting there and you're clearing that ball straight away, but you're not. Because, well, you're not good enough. And also, look at where all the Spursy players are now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all on the one side. Their balance just isn't right. One of the things when you're defending corners now, oh God, I hate the fact that I know all this rubbish. Only about 3% of all corners are scored. If you ever do like an advanced tactical analysis course, yes, which I've done, they break it down, and that's why they try to do short corners and do all these weird other little things. Because very few goals get scored on corners. Just because one of the main things is there's so many people in the way. But when you end up, after the corner's taken and the breakdown is, you've got a problem like that, okay, that's an issue for your defensive setup. It really is. So as he hits this, boomf, it does take a little deflection, but I can't take away from Anderson. It's a quality strike. I actually think the deflection, it probably would have helped the keeper in some respects. I'll tell you why. It takes a little bit of pace off the ball, and it puts it down low so he can actually try to save it. Because if he doesn't, that is flying there instead of about there. And that's the difference. So the deflection, even though people, it took a deflection and it stopped the keeper's reaction, blah, blah, blah. No, actually, in this instance, It helps the keeper a bit. Could you see it? Like, see where it is? The keeper's just weak. I mean, that's just weak. You get your hand to it, you're supposed to save it. Gets his hand to it, both of them, and it bounces up and goes in. That's why Spurs are at the bottom of the league. But let's move it on, because we've got lots of things to talk about. If you're new to this channel, you won't have heard me say this, but if you're not and you're one of the old timies that always comment and tell me what's going on in the world, you're going to know I've said this probably about 25 times so far this season for goals scored in the Premier League, because everybody is playing a high line. And it doesn't matter if you play the ball in here or you do something creative by playing the ball down there. The problem with playing this high line is you allow the other team this space, all of this space, to use to attack. If you drop back, they have to play the ball in front of you, and it's easier to defend. Look at where all the Spursy players are running. They're all running. Everyone is facing away from the goal. Sorry, away from the ball and towards their own goal. Do you see that? No one can actually challenge the ball. When it's played down here, they're all having to run backwards. And it's not just on this free kick. It's every single time somebody plays a high line. You're just hoping that, you know what, the Premier League footballer isn't going, with a standing ball, isn't going to put in a good delivery. And in this case, he's not putting in a good delivery. He's putting a good ball down the line. Honestly, he takes a terrible first touch. He does put the ball into a bit of space, but to me, that's just too far away from you. I'm not going to be happy if you do that. I don't care that the player's too far away and he's awful at defending and he can't take the ball from you. I want that ball cleaner and closer to you, so if anything happens, you can make a second touch. So I'd be yelling at him for that. But look at the space he's got out wide, because, well, Spursies have given it to him. Now, you've got 1, 2, 3 players and one would-be striker, but not one single of those players is actually marking the striker. None of them are goal side. That goes back up to this original, setup of where they were so far up out of the goal on this little line here, doing absolutely nothing, and now they're doing nothing again. So when you're defending up that far and you've got you're marking your players, as soon as that ball's gone, you don't stop marking them. You keep running with them into the box. They choose not to. Look, as you can see, look, still jogging. He's got enough time to sprint around and get goal side. Still jogging, still not trying to really get goal side of him. All the time in the world. Not sure who's out wide here. Has a little bit of a look. It's got his time to pinpoint the cross all the time in the world. He doesn't need to beat the player. And not only that, again, in the Premier League, he's not closed down. The Spursy player doesn't rush out and close him down. I've explained that in one of my coaching videos. If you want to go back and actually look at that and really understand football, it'll be well worth a watch, because you'll hear things about rondos and keep away and all these things that they teach in the academy, and you're going to find out that it's actually not what you're supposed to be doing. And the reason why is it teaches you to get into a habit of intercepting passes and not closing the ball down and winning the tackle. So when you see everyone doing the warm-ups in these little squares, they're not actually trying to win the football, they're trying to win the pass. Okay, so that's what ends up happening. He has no idea that he needs to go and win the football, so he doesn't. Look, watch. You see where he stopped? Because he's trying to block a pass. He's not trying to win the ball. And I was explaining this in like 2005, 2000. I keep saying 2005, 2007, because that's when I really first started noticing all this bad, coaching. And what they can't understand is the adverse effect of what they're doing and what it ends up leading to. So when I'm talking about those rondos and people trying to do the high press and intercept passing, it takes all away from tackling and doing all of these other things, because the entire system is different. Everything that they're trying to do is completely different. So they won't get close to the ball and tackle it, because we're defending the passing lane, and it becomes a subconscious thing. It's not something that you're going to get away with in one training session and change it again. You can't. It's ingrained. So, oh look, we're goal side now. As I've been talking, and all this time, Spurs have got enough time to get back and get goal side. Wow, we're impressed. That's a little bit of a touch. Fires it across. Still not good enough. Look at that little push separation there. Really, really well done. Chris Wardinho in the box. Actually, still, he's unmarked. He's still unmarked. Look at that. It just amazes me. Bump, header. The keeper's come out doing a Peter Pan. Don't know why the keeper's come out doing that. Got no idea. I do think, again, the keeper's probably beaten because it's a good quality header. But also, if you're coming as a goalkeeper, you have to win the ball. I have to show you this. This is hilarious. Look at the keeper. Peter Panning out. Wah! Supermaning it out, whatever you want to call it. The ball's over here, mate. He's like, yeah, but I look really good when I dive into the swimming pool like this. Yeah, but the football's over there, mate. Let's move it on. We're just going to cover this Spursy miss, and we might cover one of the Nottingham Forest ones as well, because I want to explain to you and show you why this is a miss. Well, look, right. Do you see that when he's started and stamped his feet? I'm going to show you one more time. Watch this. Do you see how he does that with his feet? Okay. That's one of the things that you'll notice if you're a coach about somebody who's about to smash the ball as hard as they can because they've got no composure. They're like, whack, instead of slow, bump, and finish. You can see it. Bump. Do you see that stutter there? Yeah, trying to set his feet to get power on it because they think that the power comes from how hard. Now, this is the weird part. This is going to sound kind of strange. How hard they hit the ball. It's not. The power comes from the acceleration of the leg, the quickness of the movement of the leg. If you see people do like no backlift strikes, that's what it's for, from. If you ever hear golfers say, don't hit the ball hard, let the swing and the club do the work. It's a similar thing, but it's how fast you strike it. And people go, oh yeah, but you've got to strike it hard. Yeah, you do. It's easier for me to show you on the field and actually show you the technique so you can understand it a little bit better. But it is about the quickness of the movement of the leg more than the power in the quickness and the movement of the leg. So if it's a slow whack, you're going to make a much weaker shot than if it's a quick snap shot. And the difference with the snap, you're going to keep it low. Or you can just pass it in with the inside of his foot and not waste the time by doing that little step and just knock it in. But yeah. Speaking of Spurs, he misses. Here comes Richarlison away for another one. Here he is. Right. Don't know who's on the back post here. He's got to be calling off Richarlison. He has to be because he's in a better situation. But this is the reason why I would never have a player like Richarlison in my team, because even if the player does call him off, Richarlison's that sort of he's just the word head, and he's just going to think he's going to score it anyway and ignore you, and because he thinks he's better than everybody. I can remember he was moaning about the most overrated Premier League defender in the world, Virgil van Dijk, and clowning on him or something when he was at Everton. And the guy, I'm just like, mate, if you're scoring 20 goals a season, I don't care if it's for any. You can't talk about any centre back in the Premier League. You're Richarlison. You're lucky if you get 4. Like, shut up. But he just takes it off his mate's head, and puts it out wide for a goal kick. Great defending for Richarlison, but that was the wrong team to defend for. See, this is one of the other reasons I like Nottingham Forest and the way that they play, because it's not the same way that I set up my team, but it's very similar in certain ways. My team would we would hold possession against you after we would very, very different. But one thing we would do is we would drop off, and then try to absolutely smash you on the counter. We liked you having possession like Nottingham Forest do, and we are going to go very, very quickly and directly. Now, what that means is this, right? So if this was a Man City player, a Liverpool player, Arsenal player, he is not knocking that ball into that space there, most likely, unless that's Mo Salah. They're probably trying to keep possession and actually build the attack. Okay, that's probably what they're doing. Or depending on where they are in the in the possession of the game, but they just look to knock it forward and run on. This again is another little bit of composure. He could beat the keeper. He could do all sorts here. He's got all the time and space because it's a quality ball in behind. He's got the run-ins here, and he can just go around the keeper. Okay, when I play this here, I want you to watch his feet. You know that stutter step movement, right? Watch what he's doing here. Do you see his? That's him setting himself, trying to get a strike away instead of just running on with it on his first touch. As soon as he's done that, he's telegraphed to the keeper that he's taking a shot. Right? The keeper already knows now. Right? That's why the keeper doesn't have to come any further. He can hold his ground, and unfortunately, he hits it wide. Yeah, he should have just taken a touch and then slotted it past the keeper. Do you see that? And the reason people are doing that is because as the ball's coming down, you're trying to get your standing foot level with the ball. And what people aren't good at, it doesn't matter, like you can see if you're a pro, is actually just taking that and putting it into their stride. What they do, or how to do that, is you slow your stride down. You'll see some players who are really good at it. Cristiano Ronaldo is really good at it. He's not taking that stutter step. He slows his stride and then matches where the ball goes and then strikes it. It's quicker. Even though it looks slower, it's quicker. That little stutter step takes too much time. And that's you adjusting your feet really quickly to do it. And the other problem is it's a bad habit. It wastes time. It's a bad habit because a lot of the times the players that do that can't actually strike the ball cleanly because they haven't really adjusted properly as the ball's moving. But let's get on to the Spursy goal. No, we're not. We're doing the goal line clearance, quality goal line clearance, off the line, fantastic play, bosh, dosh, out it goes. I'll say it again, that's teamwork. There's a lot of teams in the Premier League. One of those players would have let that go in. Nottingham Forest have got team spirit and they're difficult to beat because of little things like that. That's why they're up where they are. That's why they're going to be in the Champions League. You know what I was talking about, that stride when they're slowing it down instead of doing little quick stutter steps? It's a classic example of Richarlison, but he gets it wrong because he's rubbish. Watch his leg movement again. Watch. Do you see how he's slowing that strike, trying to get it right, but he mistimes it completely, and yeah, he's rubbish. And I know rubbish Richarlison finally scores a goal, but he's had 16 opportunities so far this game. You think he might have got one. Little bit of a problem here, though, for me. Forest don't put enough pressure on the ball. There's two runners, two gaps, two people not marking, and it's very, very unlike them. It's a deep ball, it's from a deep delivery, not a delivery from the side, and they are very decent at defending crosses, Forest. I mean, they did it pretty much most of the game. It was like, well, you're not going to score doing that. But changing the angle and the delivery into the box did make a difference. As it goes, look, you can see it's a decent ball. It's Richarlison. I can't I'd say him. And Maddison are the two of the players that I just can't stand. I don't know what it is about them. Just don't like them. Yeah, and that's the funny thing. I really don't like or dislike any players. To me, I don't even bother to learn half the football players' names because they're just footballers that I'm breaking down their technique and then how they play the game. Because the other thing is, well, you get an emotional attachment to players' names. You know that when you hear a player A does a thing, you immediately get a judgment because you hear A. So like it's if I say Marcus Rashford, you immediately jump to, oh yeah, he missed that shot. So it's very difficult when you start associating names with when you're doing analysis because it's it makes your opinion change really quickly, like mine and Richarlison. Does get a good header. Or does he get? No, he doesn't score here. Oh, my apologies. He doesn't score here. As you can tell, I do a deep dive into all of the highlights. I don't do it in real time and just watch it as I record it, which I do, as you can tell. I thought Richarlison scored that goal there, but great save from the keeper because Richarlison's rush. This is the one he finally scores. Same situation though, like where the two centre backs are, and he's running between both of them again. I really want to know though why Nottingham Forest were letting him just drift in between the two centre backs. Was it a case that he's just rubbish and we're not going to bother to mark him? Because I have a feeling it might be, because I can't see them letting that one chance happen and then another chance immediately after, him splitting the centre backs and allowing a goal to happen. I can't, unless it's tiredness. I just can't see it from the Forest though. Up, jump, in the back of the net box, same place. Keeper doesn't keep it out this time, but Richarlison gets him a goal. We don't care because we don't like him. Other than that, we want Forest to get into the Champions League, and I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.